Whenever we turn on our Samsung TV, it opens with the Animation Plus channel that offers curated adult animated comedy 24/7. This is how my wife and I got exposed to snippets of radically different animations, infantile, bizarre, absurd, dark, baffling, gross, nihilistic. We look at each other like, who's watching this stuff? And then we quickly navigate to our nature videos with cute little animals. You see, our world is naive and simplistic compared to the not so cheerful world of many millennials and Gen Z kids. Habituation is when somebody gets used to something and a stronger stimulus is needed to get the same response. In the last 30 years, I watched groundbreaking animated shows. The Simpsons, Ren and Stimpy, Beavis and Butthead, South Park, The Family Guy. Well, if I find Homer's mental limitations funny, then I'll be ready for the Beavis and Butthead level of stupidity. If I'm okay with the bad teeth of Ren, then I won't be fazed by the gross stuff on Family Guy. So theoretically, I'm habituated and desensitized enough to embrace the groundbreaking, artistic, and deeply intellectual material on Animation Plus, right? I have to confess, I never stopped at a roadkill to take a closer look and enjoy the aesthetics of its gruesome details. It never occurred to me to scrape a dead skunk off the road and take it home to play with it. I'm sorry, I don't like when my stomach turns. Unfortunately, I've seen things that are forever seared on my brain and I don't have a chance to click delete. Most of us instinctively don't want to look at disturbing things. Now, there's another safety mechanism in us that protects us from harm. I call it the saturation gauge. When we have enough of something and the needle is in the red, we produce a spontaneous emotional response. Let's say Facebook Reels offers me a gory scene from a movie and I watch it. And then the algorithm gives me more. At one point I say, nah, I don't want this stuff. And I scroll away. But then I reflect on things. I have this habit of thinking. And I actually know what I reject and why and what it is that matters to me. These are conscious decisions, and I'm in charge of this department. So I started to investigate the Animation Plus channel. I looked up the content creators, watched shows, and read viewer comments. And I found that most of the authors made a decent effort to create artistic expressions of ideas that speak to an audience. Well, that's a something. The creator of the Meat Canyon episodes, Papa Meat, looks like a nice person. Except I completely disagree with his ideology. And maybe I could ask him, what were you thinking when you made the pawn shop Jesus? Maybe we could have a conversation. But just because I familiarize myself with these animations and I see them in a sharper focus, it doesn't mean that I want to be one of the 9.4 million subscribers. I don't have a problem with bold, nonconformist creativity in art, but I tend to ask the question, what's the message? We're all losers and destined to fail. Human nature is evil and we inevitably morph into monsters. Extreme violence is good humor and entertainment. The world is random and dark, therefore, a happy ending is cheap and trivial. Nothing is sacred. If this is the message, count me out. Not interested. I believe in humanity, and I don't think we're a flawed design, a scourge of the earth. We have the capacity to do things that transcend us. My job is to be a good person and achieve my eudaimonia through a well-lived, purposeful, and decent life. There are established standards for this in my culture. As an agent of good and a teacher, this is what I hand down to my students. I don't just preach. I know that I have to lead by personal example because people learn from people. Suffering, lonely, jaded, disillusioned, cynical individuals, lost souls, battling depression, anxiety, and who knows what else. More than ever, they need to hear a positive message. I have the feeling that many of them do not hear messages of hope and gravitate toward Animation Plus. Salad Fingers is one of the shows on the channel. In one of the episodes, he falls in love with the corpse of a dog, and a dog represents an underage girl.
These eyes weren't equipped to process such ravishing beauty. You're not fully dressed without a smile.
The comments on this episode are shocking. People say this story is set in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, but I can confirm this is, in fact, a very realistic description of everyday life in Bradford, England. Salad Fingers has really grown as a person. First he was getting off to rusty spoons, and now he is interested in flesh and blood. Glad Salad Fingers is putting himself out there and dating again. Healthy relationships are important. All I want is for someone to look at me the way Salad Fingers looks at a corpse. And then there are a bunch of people chiming in. Same here, da 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 da. These people are not saying, wow, seeing this bleak existence is an eye-opener for me. I'm gonna do my best to have a better life than Salad Fingers. Instead, the opposite happens. I always knew that the world was a sad place. And here we go, Salad Fingers confirms it for me. And then they watch more episodes. Confirmation bias is when we prefer information that agrees with what we already believe. This is what most followers of the show do. They cherry-pick reality and trap themselves. Now, look at young adults in manga cafes in Japan. They don't live, they just vegetate. I know about a third-year philosophy student who overdosed on nihilism and blew his head off with a shotgun. A vulnerable and volatile young individual watching a lot of depressing videos can be easily pushed over the edge. There's a lot of violence on Animation Plus, from the silly, piff-poof, cartoonish variety to the disturbing and dark. According to the catharsis theory, violence in movies is a safe emotional outlet. It releases stress, vents anger, and soothes anxiety. Well, there's mounting evidence that repeated exposure to violence in the media makes viewers less sensitive to real life suffering, blunts emotional responses, and decreases empathy. It can also increase aggressive thoughts and normalize violence as a tool for conflict resolution. This, of course, has consequences. And now something completely different. Dr. Anton Chekhov was an interesting person and a talented author. Just Google him, just dig a little bit. Recently I started to read his short stories, and here is why I like them. The characters are presented in high resolution. The skillfully observed and captured details allow me to fully understand these characters to the extent that I start caring about them and feel for them. A footnote: Hemingway was inspired by Chekhov's method. I'd say you cannot read the ending of The Old Man and the Sea without a lump in your throat. Sympathy is a human feeling. Chekhov makes sure that the readers know that there's a solution to the protagonist's problem. There is a lifeline, there is a way out. When I see the protagonist just go around in circles, I root for them. I want a happy ending. But I accept that sometimes it doesn't happen. The quiet stoicism of many of the characters is inspirational. They face hardship, but they don't get crushed. These are truly the people who live by the serenity prayer. In the short stories, the characters think and they contemplate things. I listen to their inner thought, and it doesn't feel like fiction. Chekhov makes it real. And finally, Chekhov's cliffhangers are somehow hopeful cliffhangers. The protagonist has a chance, and I always want to shout out, please choose wisely and do the right thing. I'm sold on Chekhov. I think taking his messages to heart could make somebody a better person. He appeals to our humanity. So imagine that a reactionary culture tsar, a minister of education, bans nihilistic comedy, shuts down Animation Plus, and force feeds Chekhov to the depressed and lonely fans of the channel. It doesn't matter how good the material is. To begin with, the younger generation has no patience for reading, and the descriptions and the inner monologues in Chekhov would be painfully boring for them. The addicts of fast-paced shows that trigger rapid dopamine release would experience withdrawal symptoms. Nihilists, social reconstructionists, and revolutionary neo-Marxists would find the quiet acceptance of one's suffering ridiculous. Personal salvation? Well, that's a strange concept for them. Where do we begin the healing? How? What needs to be done? Well, I don't have all the answers, but I can say two things. Faith in humanity is a good one for starters. Sure, we can do harm to ourselves, but our designer did a good job, no matter what Animation Plus suggests. If we were so bad, we would have self-destructed already. The other thing is that there are people around me. They have problems and needs. They can use a good word. Maybe I can even do something for them.